meeting to order, please. Please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Erby? Here. Councilmember Page? Here. Councilmember Wassinger? Here. Councilmember O'Meara?
Here.
Councilmember Dolan?
Here.
Councilmember O'Leary?
Here.
Councilmember Hart?
Here.
Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
I move for the approval of journal of meeting of November 17, 2015.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Journal is approved. I move to suspend the rules.
We had to
Chair.
approve the journal for the special meeting.
Oh, yeah.
I move for the approval of journal of the St. Louis County Council special meeting, public hearing for the fiscal year 2016 budget.
Second.
All in favor of that one?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. That journal's approved.
All right, one more here.
All right.
I move for approval of the journal of the County Council meeting November 17, 2015, for the approval of the journal of the St. Louis County Council special meeting, public hearing. Was that the same thing?
Yeah.
Oh, we don't need to do that one then.
Yeah.
All right, that's it.
I think that first approval is enough for that one. We'll go on to the,
Wasted a lot of space in that one.
yeah.
A lot of ink.
So now I'm going to suspend the rules in order for the adoption and presentation of resolution number 2 and resolution number 3 honoring Mike Nickel and Jesse Francis, recipients of the 2014 St. Louis County Employee Achievement Award.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. The rules are suspended. Jen, you want to read the resolutions, please?
Yes, sir. Resolution number 2, introduced by council members Erby, Page, Wassinger, O'Meara, Dolan, O'Leary, and Harder. Resolution, whereas the Employee Achievement Award for outstanding contributions to citizen services is conferred on an employee who exemplifies public service at its best by acting to improve direct services to the community, and whereas Mike Nickel, Support Services Supervisor with the Department of Human Services Division of Senior Services, is the deserving award winner for 2014, having been a moving force for the enactment of statewide legislation for an access and functional needs registry, which, when St. Louis County establishes its registry, will be the first in the state and will allow persons with physical or cognitive challenges to communicate with emergency responders during emergency conditions, a vital need that all St. Louis Countyans should be proud to support. And whereas the County Council is proud to note the contributions made by Mike to the ability of human services to serve the families of St. Louis County and commends his efforts to all, now therefore be it resolved by the County Council.
Can we read the next
Yes, sir.
thing?
Resolution number 3, introduced by council members Erby, Page, Wassinger, O'Meara, Dolan, O'Leary, and Harder. Resolution, whereas the Employee Achievement Award for outstanding contributions to county government operations is awarded to an employee who has succeeded in accomplishing extraordinary improvements in the efficiency and economy of work processes which have led to cost avoidance, cost reduction, or improved productivity in county operations. And whereas Jesse Francis, museum curator with the Department of Parks and Recreation, has personally refurbished and reconstructed significant historic structures and made other contributions to the safeguarding of our historic legacy for the enjoyment and education of the people of our community and its visitors. And whereas in recognition of his effort, Jesse has won the award for 2014. And whereas the council is proud to note the contributions made by Jesse to the functioning of an important cog of county government and commends his efforts to all.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Maybe we could call Jesse and Mike up.
Yeah.
Need to vote on these?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we do. All those in favor? Or has there been a motion, or?
Move for adoption of resolutions 2 and 3.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
We got a roll call now?
Oh, I'm not according to this. All right, roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger? Aye. Councilmember O'Meara?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember O'Leary?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on resolutions number 2 and 3, there are 7 ayes.
Resolutions number 2 and 3 are adopted. We can now do the presentation.
Sure. Maybe we could have Jesse and Mike come up. You guys would?
Why do you want me
Because I don't want to go down here, I got a cold. Or you want here, Sam, you want to do it?
Go.
All right, there you go. Here, Colleen, let the ladies give them a
What are we doing?
picture. Thank you, I have a cold, I don't want to. Thank you.
All right, let's see, we're gonna.
Here comes Hazel, right behind you, Steve.
Very fine resolutions. We have awards as well, as were talked about in the resolutions, along with the check. So congratulations. Thank you for your service very much. Thank you. Do you like to say anything? No. All right, well, thank you for your service. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, I apologize for putting you on the spot there. Thank you. We have no bid openings this evening, so we will move to communication.
Mr. Chair, there are no tax compromises this evening, so move to zoning matters. Under zoning matters, item number 1, 6th District.
Receive and file and refer to Public Improvements Committee.
So ordered.
Item number 2, 6th District.
Receive and file.
So ordered.
Mr. Chair, we have nothing under road and bridge matters, so we'll move to other communications. Under other communications, item number 1, 1st District.
Receive, file, and the county council will be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation.
So ordered.
Item number 2, 5th District.
Receive, file, and the county council be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation. That will be the order.
Item number 3, 5th District.
Receive and file, and the agreement be approved as recommended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
Item number 4.
Receive, file, and the county council be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation. Same motion through item number 9. And that will be the order.
Item number 10, 4th District.
Receive, file, and the county council be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation. Same motion for item number 11.
So ordered.
Item number 12.
Receive, file, and the county council be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation. The same motion for item number 13, and that will be the order. Please read the add-on.
Yes, sir.
or on.
Item number 1.
Receive and file, and the same motion through item number 3.
Item number 4, 5th District.
Receive, file, and the county council be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation. Same motion for item number 5, and that will be the order. For the county executive.
Nothing further to report.
There are no special reports or special committees, reports of special committees this evening, so we will move to public forum. When your name is called, if you please come forward, state your name, and keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, we have 10 speakers this evening. The first speaker is Amy Pelker.
Good evening. Amy Pelker, 3459 Marianne Court, 63074. This evening, I speak before you one last time to acknowledge that my city, my constituents, and I are against the passing of Stinger's police bill. Should you choose to pass this bill, even with the number of people who have told you it's illegal and that they do not want you to pass this bill, then I will be forced to believe and take back to my constituents that it is obvious that you, Mr. Stinger, and you, the board, never had any intentions of listening to your constituents on this matter. So one must ask oneself, do you ever intend on listening to the people of our county? You are elected not necessarily to do what you think is best for the people, but to represent the needs and wants of the people who put you in office, to listen to the people. For those who say this bill came before us out of nowhere, I ask then how one of you presented this idea in a picnic in my city in June of 2015. I ask again why you would bid $3 million on Wellston's police services, knowing they only had $700,000 in their budget to give. I suppose the value of the city would have been worth $2.3 million, but surely you did not expect them to give up their charter to you as well, as you were only bidding on police services. My residents have pointed out and forced that you, Mr. Stinger, are judge, jury, and executioner on this bill, meaning you decide the fate, then you take over, and then you charge the residents of the muni. A huge conflict of interest here that could lead to corruption of its original intent. For those of you on the board who are so sure your police departments will not be affected, maybe due to promises made in recent backroom meetings with some of the larger cities, I say, give it a few years and watch this bill backdoor you, as once it's passed, it will be used and taken advantage of by the executive position. Positioning the police as the bad guys has created a huge void in the justice system that we are just beginning to see in the news, where crime upon crime happening all over the county now. Even St. Anne has seen an increase. Stop Stinger's bill from passing and do something constructive for the people you represent. Bring economic development to North County. For decades, you have let this area deteriorate while building West and South County. Lack of jobs for decades has built the despair in North County, not the police. I said before, people have a basic need to be independent. It's America, land of opportunity. End this government overreach right here tonight. Vote no, or next week, I hear, and find us jobs. That's what St. Anne's working on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Paul Martin.
Who we got, Jen?
Paul Martin.
Thank you, Council, Mr. Chairman. My name is Paul Martin. I'm the city attorney for the cities of Olivet, Rock Hill, and Breckenridge Hills. With me are 2 mayors, 2 council members, and 1 police chief. Because we have meetings of our own next Tuesday, we wanted to take the opportunity to talk to you about Bill 276 tonight. You've called this bill a police standards bill. We see it a little differently. We see it as a coup. Under state law, cities have the power and responsibility to operate their police departments. They are subject only to state law, such as the Post-Commission statutes and Senate Bill 5. This bill ignores that state law. It makes St. Louis County cities subject to the county, hence the coup. The bill mandates that cities provide sufficient police services with no real definition or guidance as to exactly what that means. It requires that city adopt police standards that meet the county executive's approval, not the Post-Commission's. It empowers the county executive to review the city's police contracts and to amend those contracts as the executive determines. And it authorizes the executive to take over the city's delivery of police services if the executive finds that those services are either non-compliant with the standards or deficient, again, without any real definition of what that means. Most egregiously, it allows the prosecution and imprisonment of mayors, police chiefs, council members, aldermen, and anyone else deemed responsible for the failure to comply with the bill's requirements. In sum, the bill invades the legislative, contractual, administrative, and policing authority granted to the cities by state law. We don't believe that you can do this, at least not legally. What's truly ironic is that under the county charter, the county police department answers exclusively to the police board. Under your own charter, the council can't impose training standards on its own police force. Yet this bill would impose those standards and more on our cities and subject them to the threat of prosecution and takeover of their police departments. We can't let that happen without a fight. We don't want the fight. We want to work with you to help solve the very, very limited problem of a handful of underperforming police departments, we're willing to do that. We're asking that you have the courage to reverse the course so that we can be partners again instead of adversaries. Please don't pass the bill. Thank you.
Next speaker is Felicity Buckley.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Mayor Felicity Buckley from the City of Shrewsbury. Firstly, I want to thank all of you for your time this evening. I truly appreciate it. I would also like to note that our County Councilman, Pat Dolan, has been a help to the City of Shrewsbury through a number of projects, and we truly appreciate that. Unfortunately, I come this evening with a serious concern. Our police department is the smallest department in the state of Missouri that has the CALEA accreditation, and in fact, it is an advanced CALEA accreditation. We believe our accreditation speaks for itself in terms of the value we place on accredited police departments and policing standards. However, this evening is not about accreditation and policing standards. Rather, it's about who has the authority, the right, and responsibility to oversee municipal departments. It is about our governmental structure. As everyone here knows, the county charter clearly states that the county does not have jurisdiction over municipal police departments, and that is exactly why we are being told that the grounds upon which this ordinance is being considered is that a safe community is a healthy community. Health falls under the county jurisdiction, and therefore policing falls under the county jurisdiction. If the county charter gave the county council authority to oversee the municipal police departments, such a tortured construction of the county charter would not be necessary. The statement would be simple. The county's in charge of municipal police departments. End of story. Now, I have been told in a discussion with our councilman that the county is not interested in taking over municipal police departments, but you can't have it both ways. You can't say policing is under county jurisdiction because it is a health issue, while at the same time saying we aren't interested in taking over the police departments because they aren't under county jurisdiction. It just really doesn't make sense. Passing this ordinance tonight would be a clear indication that the county council believes it has the right and responsibility to control municipal police departments. Such action would be a violation of the trust placed in you as elected officials because it is contrary to the charter you were elected to uphold. This is not just a simple difference of opinion. Rather, it would demonstrate a complete disrespect for the county charter, as well as a disrespect for the rights of the people of this region to govern themselves in a meaningful way through municipal government, free from the county government overstepping its boundaries. So we respectfully ask that you vote no on this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Tammy Shea.
Hi, thank you. My name's Tammy Shea. I live in District 7, but I'm here to speak tonight about the Westlake landfill and the Bridgeton landfill. As a county resident and former resident of Ferguson-Florissant area, I am respectfully requesting that the county government act unilaterally to protect the health and safety of county residents against the harmful impacts of the current conditions of the Westlake landfill and the Bridgeton landfill and what they're inflicting on the region. As you're aware, the uncontrolled subsurface smoldering event, also known as an underground fire, is the main source of harmful gases and odors permeating the air in and around the vicinity of the landfill. The results of this fire and the gases are creating a nuisance that is intolerable and unhealthy. Typically, landfill gases that escape from a landfill will carry along toxic chemicals such as paint thinner, solvents, pesticides, and other hazardous volatile organic compounds. In 1989, a study done by the EPA examined 593 waste sites in 339 U.S. counties, revealing elevated cancers of the bladder, lung, stomach, and other debilitating conditions in counties with the highest concentrations of waste. To say that this is a nuisance is an understatement. Living with the noxious odors is an unfortunate way of life that should not be allowed. I submit that if this were a noise nuisance around the clock, as this odor is, there's no way it would be tolerated. But because it's an odor, not able to be accurately measured the way a sound level is, or because the law regulating odors is insufficient, the residents are subject to amounts of unregulated operation, what amounts to unregulated operation that is robbing them of their quality of life, endangering their health, and denying them the enjoyment of their home. My request is that the permitting of this facility be disallowed until mitigation of this dangerous emission is accomplished. If the law that governs odor nuisances is so weak that it fails to protect residents, then obviously we need to strengthen the law, and I would request your proactive leadership to accomplish that goal. The county government needs to be the entity that describes this intolerable condition to the state authorities. The county health department needs to be the voice to the state for those most impacted by dangerous emissions. Let's talk about radioactive waste. The US EPA has continually and wrongfully contended that there's been no migration of radioactive material from the Westlake landfill. I would like to submit for the record a correspondence dated 1991 of a Phase 3 radiological site assessment report done independently of a property owner in Earth City, and it describes the presence of uranium and thorium that exceed background levels for those constituents. It concludes that the soil samples could only be derived from the radioactive material placed in the Westlake landfill, based on the direct correlation of those contaminants, and they're cited in a report by the EPA. Additionally, I will pose the question to you that I asked EPA and ATSDR recently. If the waste is located in Westlake illegally, as all parties have acknowledged, if we were citing this location today, it would most certainly would not be put in a floodplain in close proximity to residential area or a source of drinking water. A rigorous set of standards and criteria would be applied that would be detailed, protective of public health and natural resources. And so what I'm asking is, why would this community not be afforded those same rigorous set of standards? And I apologize for going over. Thank you for your time.
Next speaker is Pat Kelly.
Thank you. Pat Kelly, St. Louis County Municipal League. And I'm here again to reiterate the League's position representing 87 of the 90 municipalities in St. Louis County. And I will say this is a unanimous opinion of our members that we are opposed to the police standards bill that's being presented before your council tonight and then voted on probably next Tuesday. This isn't about police standards. This is about control. We have stated that the League would work with the county to establish maybe a resolution type process where all the municipalities with municipal police departments would adopt these policies through resolution to ensure that the municipalities have those. We were told that the county then wouldn't have the enforcement powers to make sure that that's done. So it is about enforcement. It's not about ensuring that the public safety. The second point that I would like to make is that this has become a coup for St. Louis County. There's 3 letters were introduced this evening or today in support of the county executive's policies, our new police standards. The letters were submitted by the executive directors of the St. Louis Regional Chamber, the Regional Business Council, and Civic Progress. It's of no surprise to the League and our members that these executives, Joe Reagan, Kathy Osborne, and Tom Irwin, are all current members of Better Together, whose initiative is to force, take away municipal control and force consolidation in St. Louis County. So this is just another step supporting that organization to eliminate municipalities and take away local control from our local governments. So again, from the League standpoint, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. We are adamantly opposed to this bill. Our municipalities stand prepared to fight it legally. If it's passed, we don't believe that you have the legal authority to do that, and that would be a disservice to all the residents in St. Louis County. To change the subject and put on a little lighter note, on behalf of the St. Louis County Municipal League, I want to wish all of you and your families a happy Thanksgiving and a good holiday with you and your family. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is John Bosch.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Jonathan Bosch. I'm here on behalf of Senator Maria Chappelle-Nadal, Senator 14th District. Hopefully I will receive my 3 minutes uninterrupted. The senator appreciates that 2 moms working with Dr. Khan on Coldwater Creek. It's a huge undertaking for them to be actively advocating for Missourians from out of state. On behalf of the residents living in the 14th District, the Senator is seeking clarification on 2 items. First, the inclusion of elected officials working on the same issue every day. Has there been any? Which zip codes will be included in the ATSDR where they are operating from? Also, as for the event on December 2nd, how will people be notified? Do you have a field program? Will you be going door to door? Will you be doing mail? How will people who don't watch TV or have internet access be notified of that meeting? What about people in nursing homes? Are you identifying tributaries which dump into and get backed up because of Coldwater Creek? What is the scope of your interests? The Senator, but more importantly, your residents, would like to be ensured that African Americans in low-income communities will be notified. Again, many don't watch TV or have internet access. We want to be sure minorities are not left behind again when it comes to St. Louis County communications. Will your outreach plan be public? Will it be innovative? Will it get people to the meeting or only some to the meeting? Finally, when will you tell residents that they are living above landfills and around illegal dump sites that have radioactive waste in them? When are you going to test those sites using alpha, beta, and gamma monitors? Until that happens, your word and empty promises won't do or mean much in North County. Silence is not our friend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Tom Sullivan.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, I'm concerned again about the $3 million that's supposed to be going for the loop trolley. As I've said before, this is really not public transit, and I don't know how you can take it out of public money that's supposed to go for public transit. In 2010, the voters in St. Louis County approved a 100% tax increase for Metro. This was done because we had John Nations, who was then the campaign manager, was saying this is an economic need, we need to get people to work. Many people were brought in wheelchairs to the council saying that we need to get the disabled around. That was the purposes for which they were voting for the tax hike. The loop trolley only goes for a few miles, and even what's worse about it is that it goes over the very same route the Metro goes. So why would you want to subsidize a trolley that's so questionable to begin with? 2012, there was a column written in the West End Word, and where the columnist was generally in favor of the trolley. He said he meant to Memphis, and it works so good in Memphis. And then somebody wrote a letter back to the paper, and this is what they said. In Memphis, the trolley connects major employers with neighborhoods and with Amtrak. In St. Louis, we will be shuttling tourists from Joe Edwards Hotel to Joe Edwards Restaurants and back to Joe Edwards Performing Arts venue. Oh yes, and then there are the 10 people per day who will take the trolley from Delmar Loop to the History Museum. As I mentioned before, the History Museum closes every day at 5 o'clock except for Tuesday. Also, we have to realize that from the very beginning, there has been misinformation on it. It was sold as a cute trolley that's going to run down Delmar. In fact, the big selling point was there's going to be no overhead wires. Well, then we found out after it was well into the planning, gosh, we need overhead wires after all. Of course, the trolley cars that run without wires cost millions of dollars a piece and are undependable, so I doubt that was ever really seriously considered. So I think when you look at the financials of this, and you look at the fact that now it's gone from $43 million to $51 million, and I think you need this council, before you even think about appropriating the $3 million, is to see what the financials are from now, because Joe Edwards has said over and over and over again Finances are fine. People were asking, what's going to happen? In fact, it goes belly up. Not a problem. We've got money. We're swimming in money. We're even taking in more money than we thought we would. So, I mean, when you have this sort of deception year after year after year, and this thing has been, they probably set a record in University City for the extension of conditional use permits, because you get a year, and if you don't make any progress, you have to get it extended, and had to get it extended and extended. And a few years ago, federal government said either get on the stick or else we're going to pull the money back. So I mean, when you look at all these problems that this project has had, I think this council needs to know a lot more of the details. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Wendy Lametta.
Good evening, County Executive Stanger and the council. I appreciate your time this evening. I'd like to speak also on behalf of the Westlake and Bridgeton Landfill Superfund site. Republic Services, Inc. is a multi-state, multi-billion-dollar corporation whose business practices demonstrate neglect and disregard of its serious environmental hazards that ultimately end up at the taxpayer's expense. At the Superfund site, there are many known cancer-causing radioactive and chemical hazards, such as benzene. There is also a subsurface smoldering event, or a fire, which is less than 1,000 feet away from the radioactive waste. While the radioactive materials and the fire are under federal and state jurisdiction, the leadership of St. Louis must perform due diligence regarding contracted service providers. Republic's contracts and license renewal are doing a grave disservice to the citizens whose air and water is getting more polluted at the Republic stockholders' behest. The precedent-setting fire has been burning for more than 5 years and is also the subject of a lawsuit from Missouri Attorney General Chris Koster for the daily environmental crimes of clean water and air that are being committed. A cancer cluster has been reported to the EPA in North St. Louis County. Rare cancers, birth defects, and genetic mutations were reported. The data collection has grown to over 3,000 cases, with initial findings showing statistically improbable occurrences to include multiple incidents of conjoined twins and over 40 cases of appendix cancer, a rare cancer that usually affects 1 in 300,000. This is a public health threat due to the latent effects of chronic ionizing radiation, and that the radioactive exposure of today ensures that future generations in the area will have preventable disease. Independent experts have validated the Westlake data, and from the moment that you were informed of the factual dangers, any claim of plausible deniability will be refuted. There have been many attempts to apprise the facts, not the EPA interpretation of the facts. You've been informed that Dr. Robert Christ, geology professor at Washington University, stated unequivocally that the waste must be removed for the health and welfare of the local population's air and water. Any denial on your part of the independently reviewed facts will only lend evidentiary credibility of your deliberate misinformation to your constituents. Such denials will be documented in reference to charges of crimes against humanity, which refers to the perpetration of the acts of war against a civilian non-soldier population. Crimes against humanity are distinguishable from war crimes in that they not only appear in the context of war, they are also applicable in war and peace. There's a many-decade history of human atrocities associated with this waste still found at Westlake. There is legislation that recognizes Mallinckrodt workers and the human rights violations of condoning unsafe handling of radioactive materials. The victims have sustained the poisoning of their environment, and the citizens, with federal and state authorities' claim of legal complexities as excuse for non-removal. How do you want to be represented, Missouri? As part of the problem or part of the solution?
Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Abir Moten.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Abir Moten, and I'm representing myself, the homeless, and also Global Bridge, the Future Fusion for Life Foundation. I have filled out a grant, and we're displaced. We're not treated fair. We have people who have retaliated, done reprisals against us, framing us and trapping us, trying to get us sick, getting into my car, filling it with bugs so that I can get bit all night long. You know, there's police. The last cop car that was around my car was number 31. Mr. Stinger knows which department that belongs to. But I just want to be treated like a human being. I want like humanity. I'm a human being. I don't want people to be treating me like I'm a child or like I'm a nobody. I'm intelligent. I'm very intelligent. You all, especially by my email messages, now know what I know. So I want to let you know that it's necessary that we get the emergency warming shelter open in St. Louis. There's no excuse that we have to live homeless like this. Number two, St. Louis, I would like a resolution for what I've been turning in. I've been turning in estimates for housing. If we don't get in a shelter, if we don't have that warming shelter right now, then put us up in a hotel or condominium or somewhere nice. I'm nice. I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, don't do alcohol, don't do crime. Number three, St. Louis County Family Court, including Community and Human Services, and especially the director of the St. Louis County Health, are so much in crime with their counsel and their leadership. They all have an indigent system with ineffective counsel and leadership. I am not getting fair and adequate representation. The St. Louis Family Court has rights violations and racial bias and is rife with conflicts of interest. Minority mothers like me do not get proper and adequate legal representation without being framed with conflict of interest representation. I am not given opportunity to benefit. I am held without proper fair determination of probable cause because they are focusing on framing me to look guilty without clearly grasping the consequences. I was always denied a fair and formal handling of my case as a Palestinian Sunni Muslim because they are all a conflict of interest, making decisions only for their own desirable cause or benefits so that they can frame me and coerce me into admitting something that I did not do. I'm not being given any opportunity to benefit because of discrimination, retaliation, reprisals, racketeering, and public political warfare, religious, national, corruption, defamation and slander, intentional misinformation and intentional misrepresentation with conflicts of interest, intentional human, sex, labor, medical, mental, in vitro fertilization trafficking, human torture and suffering, identity theft, abuse, false altering documents. Thank you very much. Take care and have a happy Thanksgiving.
You too.
Thank you.
Our last speaker this evening is Kevin Buchek.
Good evening. My name is Kevin Buchek. I'm the mayor of the city of Belle-Noire. Becoming a regular occurrence here at these meetings. I'm here again to speak in opposition to the amendments to ordinance number 701. Before I talk about the issues I have with the ordinance and the amendments, let me talk about some positive things. So between the last time I spoke and tonight, several changes have been made to the ordinance. I only just received it this afternoon, but upon review, I found a few positive changes. Specifically, I like the addition of the Review Commission and the addition of the Audit Committee. However, I have a problem with those two committees as both of them are 5-member boards appointed by the county executive. So if the issue is to get neutral third-party review, it would make sense that those members would not be appointed by the same person who we're trying to remove that review from. The other issues I have with the bill as it sits today, mainly number one, the police standards are now missing. So in the original bill, we had minimum police standards. The current bill simply says the county executive will issue minimum police standards, and they can be amended from time to time by this audit committee. So it'd be hard for anyone to support a bill that doesn't outline the police standards that all of our departments will be held to. Another issue I have is it seems as though this bill is more intended to punish communities than it is to work with communities. I spoke last time about ways that you all could work with us, possibly providing services to some of the smaller municipal departments that need help. I mentioned last time that we don't do the psychological testing. If you have one on staff, we'd love to utilize them. You know, I said before, and I'll say it again, we do support minimum standards. We have no issue with minimum standards. And we actually take it a step further than that. We believe in best practices. And I told you before, and I'll tell you again, we wrote best practices. Myself and several mayors sitting behind me are the ones who originally authored the 10 best practices, most of which have made it into Senate Bill 5. So we have no problem with best practices, with minimum standards. We have no problem with holding those accountable that don't accept those and adhere to those. The issue we have here is we don't believe the county executive and this council have the authority to implement those minimum standards against our police departments. And further, we don't believe that this council nor the executive have the authority to give fines and jail time. Actually, jail time is now taken out of this bill, which is, I guess, a positive thing, but we still have a $1,000 fine per day per violation in the discretion of the county executive. So all of those are the issues I have with the bill. We'd welcome further communication with you before you vote on the bill, hopefully not next Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you. That will conclude the public forum. So if anybody is leaving, just wanted to say from myself, and I would assume for the rest of the county, happy Thanksgiving, in case you're leaving. Or after sub-bill, when you leave. Introduction of bills, I'm sorry.
Bill number 289, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance approving and adopting the budget for the general fund for fiscal year 2016, appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the general fund the sum of $269,108,623 to be placed to the credit of the respective departments, offices, boards, commissions, agencies, and funds of the St. Louis County government as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2016. Bill number 290, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance approving and adopting the budget for the Special Road and Bridge Fund for fiscal year 2016, appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the Special Road and Bridge Fund the sum of $22,745,353 to be placed to the credit of the county road system and to the credit of the Department of Transportation for general operations, and further appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the Special Road and Bridge Fund the sum of $31,081,905 to be placed to the credit of the arterial road system, all as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2016. Bill number 291, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance approving and adopting the budget for the health fund for fiscal year 2016, appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the health fund the sum of $61,178,053 to be placed to the credit of the Department of Public Health as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2016. Bill number 292, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance approving and adopting the budget for the Park Maintenance Fund for fiscal year 2016, appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the Park Maintenance Fund the sum of $30,745,640 to be placed to the credit of the Department of Parks and Recreations as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2016. Bill number 293, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance approving and adopting the Spirit of St. Louis Airport Enterprise Fund budget for fiscal year 2016, appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the Spirit of St. Louis Airport Enterprise Fund the sum of $22,877,160 to be placed to the credit of the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2016. Bill number 294, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the Debt Service Fund the sum of $7,732,232 for payment of interest, fees, and principal for maturity retirement of the public improvement bonds of St. Louis County, Missouri for the fiscal year 2016. Bill number 295, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance approving and adopting the Police Civil Defense Grant Fund budget for fiscal year 2016, appropriating and setting apart the sum of $428,450 from the unappropriated balance of the Police Civil Defense Grant Fund to be credited to the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2016. Bill number 296, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance approving and adopting the St. Louis County and Municipal Police Academy Fund budget for fiscal year 2016, appropriating and setting apart the sum of $529,273 from the unappropriated balance of the St. Louis County and Municipal Police Academy Fund to be credited to the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2016. Bill number 297, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance approving and adopting the Assessment Fund budget for fiscal year 2016, appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the Assessment Fund the sum of $13,379,339 to be placed to the credit of the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2016. Bill number 298, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance approving and adopting the Sewer Lateral Fund budget for fiscal year 2016, appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the sewer lateral fund the sum of $2,948,441 to be placed to the credit of the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2016. Bill number 299, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance approving and adopting the Transportation Trust Fund budget for fiscal year 2016, appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the Transportation Trust Fund the sum of $43,615,150 to be credited to the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2016. Bill number 300, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance approving and adopting the Lambert East Perimeter TIF Fund budget for fiscal year 2016, and appropriating and setting apart the sum of $2,637,952 from the unappropriated balance of the Lambert East Perimeter TIF Fund to be credited to the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2016. Bill number 301, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance approving and adopting the Record Preservation Fund budget for fiscal year 2016, appropriating and setting apart the sum of $510,266 from the unappropriated balance of the Record Preservation Fund to be credited to the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2016. Bill number 302, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance approving and adopting the Police Air Support Program budget for fiscal year 2016, and appropriating and setting apart the sum of $250,000 from the unappropriated balance of the Police Air Support Program Fund to be credited to the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2016. Bill number 303, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance approving and adopting the Emergency Communications Fund budget for fiscal year 2016, appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the Emergency Communications Fund the sum of $14,980,857 to be credited to the account as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2016. Bill number 304, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance approving and adopting the North Point Forest Subdivision NID Fund budget for fiscal year 2016, appropriating and setting apart the sum of $38,860 from the unappropriated balance of the North Point Forest Subdivision NID Fund to be credited to the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2016. Bill number 305, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance approving and adopting the Residential Energy Loan Program Fund budget for fiscal year 2016, appropriating and setting apart the sum of $1,126,360 from the unappropriated balance of the Residential Energy Loan Program Fund to be credited to the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2016. Bill number 306, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance approving and adopting the Children's Service Fund budget for fiscal year 2016, appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the Children's Service Fund the sum of $63,624,306 to be credited to the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2016. Bill number 307, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance approving and adopting the Cable TV Government Access Fund budget for fiscal year 2016, appropriating and setting apart the sum of $85,000 from the unappropriated balance of the Cable TV Government Access Fund to be credited to the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2016. Bill number 308, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance approving and adopting the Convention and Recreation Trust Fund budget for fiscal year 2016, appropriating and setting apart the sum of $8,930,230 from the unappropriated balance of the Convention and Recreation Trust Fund to be credited to the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2016. Bill number 309, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance approving and adopting the Water Service Line Fund budget for fiscal year 2016, appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the Water Service Line Fund the sum of $3,112,996 to be placed to the credit of the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2016. Bill number 310, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance approving and adopting the Solid Waste Management Fund budget for fiscal year 2016, appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the Solid Waste Management Fund the sum of $1,617,000 to be credited to the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2016. Bill number 311, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance approving and adopting the Highway Capital Construction Program budget for fiscal year 2016 in the amount of $31,589,100, appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the Transportation Highway Fund the sum of $14,137,400, and further appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the Federal Aid Urban Trust Fund the sum of $17,451,700 for support of the 2016 capital construction programs. Bill number 312, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, An ordinance approving and adopting the Public Mass Transit Tax Fund budget for fiscal year 2016, appropriating and setting apart the sum of $44,339,500 from the unappropriated balance of the Public Mass Transit Tax Fund to be credited to the accounts as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2016. Bill number 313, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance establishing tax rates to be levied on all real and tangible personal property in St. Louis County and on all other taxable property in St. Louis County for the general fund, special road and bridge fund, health fund, park maintenance fund, and the debt service fund for the fiscal year 2016, and the tax rates hereby established shall be permanent and shall continue in effect until superseded by a tax levy ordinance passed at such time as provided by law or reduced as necessary to comply with state law. Bill number 314, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance approving and adopting the budget for fiscal year 2016, appropriating and setting apart out of the unappropriated balance of the county sheriff revolving fund the sum of $486,915 to be credited to the account as provided in the budget for fiscal year 2016. Bill number 315, introduced by Councilmember Harder, an ordinance amending ordinance number 23,822 by repealing and reenacting sections 1 and 2 pertaining to a grant from the Missouri Department of Transportation for support of purchase of property related to long-term land leases at Spirit of St. Louis Airport. Bill number 316, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute contracts with law enforcement and emergency services agencies for use of the emergency communications system. Bill number 317, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance amending Chapter 1105, Title 11, St. Louis County Revised Ordinances 1974 as amended Department of Highways and Traffic by repealing and reenacting Sections 1105.046 pertaining to contracts with the Missouri Highway and Transportation Commission. Bill number 318, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to grant an easement to Metropolitan St. Louis Sewer District for sewer and stormwater purposes in connection with the new courts building. Bill number 319, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute a contract and one renewal with the Salvation Army for operation of a warming shelter at 10,740 Page Avenue. Bill number 320, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute a contract with E. Terrence Jones and Cynthia J. Palazzolo for professional services in connection with updating the St. Louis County Strategic Plan. Bill number 321, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance authorizing St. Louis County, Missouri to issue its taxable industrial revenue bonds, Deutsche Precision LLC Project Series 2015, in a principal amount not to exceed $17 million for the purpose of providing funds to pay the cost of an industrial development project in the county, approving a plan for the project, and authorizing the county executive and director of administration to enter into certain agreements and take certain other actions in connection with the issuance of the bonds. Mr. Chair, that is all the bills.
Thank you, Jen. Great job. Thank you. I told y'all, happy Thanksgiving. I gave you a chance. All right. Perfection of bills.
Bill number 8, introduced by Councilmember O'Meara.
Hold, please.
Bill number 276, introduced by Councilmember Dolan. Mr. Chair, we have a substitute bill.
Bill number 8 is held.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. You're on a roll. I hate to stop here. Please read the substitute bill.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 276, introduced by Councilmember Dolan, an ordinance amending Chapter 701, Title 7, St. Louis County Revised Ordinances 1974 as amended Department of Police by adding and enacting a new section, 701.250, pertaining to police services in cities and collaborative entities.
I move for adoption of substitute bill number 1 for bill number 276.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Substitute bill number 1 for number 276 is adopted. Please read substitute bill number 1 for bill number 276 for perfection.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 276, introduced by Councilmember Dolan.
I move for perfection of bill number substitute bill number 1 for bill number 276.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
The ayes have it. Motion carries. Bill number 2, substitute bill number 1 for bill number 276 is perfected.
Bill number 278, introduced by Councilmember Dolan.
I move for perfection of bill number 278.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Bill number 278 is perfected.
Bill number 279, introduced by Councilmember Harder.
I move to perfect Bill number 279.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Bill number 279 is perfected.
Bill number 280, introduced by Councilmember Wassinger.
I move to perfect Bill number 280.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Bill number 280 is perfected.
Bill number 281, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to perfect Bill number 281. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Bill number 281 is perfected.
Bill number 282, introduced by Councilmember Dolan.
I move to perfect Bill number 282.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Bill number 282 is perfected.
Bill number 283, introduced by Councilmember Dolan.
I move to perfect Bill number 283.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 283 is perfected.
Bill number 284, introduced by Councilmember Dolan.
I move to perfect Bill number 284.
Second.
Sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
No.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Bill number 284 is perfected.
Bill number 285, introduced by Councilmember O'Leary.
I move to perfect Bill number 285.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 285 is perfected.
Bill number 286, introduced by Councilmember O'Leary.
I move to perfect Bill number 286.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 286 is perfected.
Bill number 287, introduced by Councilmember Erby.
I move for perfection of Bill number 287.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 287 is perfected.
Bill number 288, introduced by Councilmember Wassinger.
I move to perfect Bill number 288.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excuse me, any opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 288 is perfected. Final passage of bills, not me.
Bill number 52, introduced by Councilmember Dolan.
Please hold Bill number 52, and that's the order.
Bill number 116, introduced by Councilmember Dolan.
I move to hold Bill number 116, and that's the order.
Bill number 273, introduced by Councilmember Dolan.
I move for final passage of Bill number 273.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember O'Meara?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember O'Leary?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on bill number 273, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 273 is finally passed.
Bill number 274, introduced by Councilmember Harder.
I move for final passage of Bill number 274.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember O'Meara?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember O'Leary?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on bill number 274, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 274 is finally passed.
Bill number 275, introduced by Councilmember Dolan.
Move for final passage of Bill number 275.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember O'Meara?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember O'Leary?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on bill number 275, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 275 is finally passed.
Bill number 277, introduced by Councilmember Dolan.
Move for final passage of Bill number 277.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember O'Meara?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember O'Leary?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on bill number 277, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 277 is finally passed.
Moving on to resolutions, Mr. Chair, we have one additional this evening, resolution number 1, introduced by Councilmember Erby. Resolution?
I move for adoption of resolution number 1.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger? Councilmember O'Meara?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember O'Leary?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on resolution number 1, there are 7 ayes.
Resolution number 1 is adopted.
We have no items under unfinished business this evening, Mr. Chair, so we'll move to new business. Under new business, we have 2 prepared orders.
Move for adoption of orders 1 and 2. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Orders 1 and 2 are adopted.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.